Good evening and welcome to our Facebook Live this evening. My name's Jenny McCormack and I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire in the UK. It is just after 7 p.m. on Thursday the 16th of June, and if you are watching me live wherever you are in the world, then good evening and welcome to you from the UK. This recording will be available on my Facebook page for catch up, and you may also be watching this on YouTube. All of my main videos get uploaded to YouTube usually the same day that I run the live video. Sometimes it's the next day, but usually it's the same day. So thank you so much for joining me. I've got two sort of different techniques to do this evening. One is an old technique revisited, which is previously known as the baby white technique, where we use our re-inkers, which are normally used for re-inking our ink pads, but these can be used for lots of different techniques. And so we're going to be using those on a baby white to create our own little ink pad. Hi Sandy, thanks for joining us. And we are doing some half sheet wonders, which is basically half a sheet of A4, because I want to show two different sets of stamps this evening. So the other thing I'm going to show you is we have this stunning Butterfly Brilliance stamp. But what I want is butterfly stamped across the middle of my card. And this is one large stamp which has dies that cut out each of these individual butterflies. But what I'm going to do is actually cut these butterflies up so that I can use individual stamps. So I have actually purchased two of this stamp set. One I have left completely intact, which I can use and reuse with the Stamparatus, or if I want a complete background of butterflies. And then this one here, I've already cut two of these off. I'm going to cut another one off. And what I do when I do that is I don't tidy the edges, because that way you can then replace this stamp back in position so that you could use this with the Stamparatus. Okay, so I'm going to show you that technique as well, and that's the one that I'm going to use with the refills and the baby wipe. It's not actually a baby wipe, this is a surface wipe. That's what happens when COVID strikes, isn't it? So let me quickly show you the cards that we've created already this week using this technique of stamping across the page and then cutting up. So it's known typically as a stamped one sheet wonder. And if you want the very best examples of this technique, you need to find Ruth Trice Magnus. I'm desperately trying to think of her business name. I think it's Artful Stamping. I apologise if it isn't, and if anybody does know, let me know. She's the absolute master, along with her sister and a few of her team and fellow demonstrators. So let me just run through these very quickly and then we'll get crafting. So we've got this one here, I popped a thank you on. This one has got a thank you from this stamp set, and this stamp set is the one that's currently on offer at half price. The butterfly is from the set that we're going to use, and this set is called Boughs and Blossoms, and that's £9.50. So these ones here with the red and the yellow flowers were all created using that stamp set. The only thing I've added is the little dots here from Forever Fern. Okay, so there we have just a note, and one that I did today at Coffee and Card, but I haven't added a sentiment, and that's all in Poppy Parade. You can't see much of the detail. There's a lot of lighter details here, but that doesn't really get carried across. Hi Joanne, thanks for joining us this evening. So I'm going to start with Artistically Inked. Now, one of the ladies at Coffee and Card, the lovely Jenny, did a stunning card with this, and I just wanted to do something similar. I'm not going to recreate the card that she made, but I want to do something similar. I'm just going to pop this card here. So this is just some old sort of thick, I don't know what it is really, it's almost like cartridge paper, no good for stamping on because it's too fibrous, but it's perfect for keeping my worktop slightly tidy. Hi Louise, hope you're well. So I'm going to be using these flowers here, but I also thought I'd use this. This is a fantastic, like almost like a sort of alcohol watermark, which has given me an idea for something, another technique I need to try. Let me just find a longer block for that one, and I'm going to use that as a sort of center, or maybe maybe a bit of an angle, like so and like so, because remember we're going to cut this in half. So this is a half sheet wonder. Only because if I do two full sheet wonders, you'll be wanting your dinner. So I'm just going to do that at an angle and then build up around it. We'll just see how it goes. So I am going to use these flowers. So we have the larger flower, and these are all quite watercolour looking. And then we've got leaves to match that, those large ones, and then we've got this smaller flower and a leaf to match that, and we've also got 3 tiny little flowers and some dots. I should have got out some more little blocks, sorry. So I hope everybody's had a good day. I assume those that are watching are in the UK, unless you're on holiday of course. But it's been really warm today. Okay, there's that one. So this one sheet wonder technique is what we're doing at Coffee and Card this week. And that one. And let's just grab those 3 little ones. And then there are some little dots, and I've also got the dots from Forever Fern. Like so. So I've got a nice selection. Hope they're not reflecting too much. Okay, so let me see. So the colours I selected were these. That one hasn't got its label on, which is Mossy Meadow. So I've got Granny Apple Green and Parakeet Party, Highland Heather, Orchid Oasis and Gorgeous Grape. So all of these have tones of purple. Orchid Oasis is one of our new in colours, as is Parakeet Party. Very like Lemon Lime Twist. It looks a little bit duller on the screen than it does in person. And I've also got Mossy Meadow and Granny Apple Green. So I'm going to start by using Highland Heather just in the background, because I don't want this to overtake the whole thing. Hi Sarah, I hope you're well and the children and the family are all well. Okay, still quite dark even like that. Okay, so I'm going to stamp it off because I don't want it too dark, and I'm going to do this band here, but I am going to have a sort of panel coming down like that, like so. Actually, if I was clever, I could sort of make that meet like so, so that as we cut that, we're going to get an element of each of those. And what I might do is just add this in here. Okay, so that is Highland Heather. I've obviously refilled it because it's darker than I was expecting, but that is fine. Let me grab my cleaning cloth. Oops. Okay. Just going to put a piece of paper over that, just to dry that off a little bit. There we go. Only so I don't put my hands in it really. Okay, so now I'm going to build up with some flowers around that. So I've got Orchid Oasis with this large flower. It's quite light, isn't it? I think I might need to refill that, so I'm going to do that now. So this is Orchid Oasis refill, which I'm going to use for a technique shortly. And you just want to add some in. Now I either do it in the middle and spread it to either side, or I start on one side and spread it to the middle so as not to over ink it. So I'm just going to move that in. Clean that off and see if that looks any better. Okay, that's an improvement for sure. Okay, so I'm just going to add in, you can see the difference. I know that's on scratch paper, so it will be slightly lighter anyway. Okay, so these are really pretty roses, but I am really worried about that being too dark, so I might have to restart this, but let's have a look and see. Let's add a bit of a contrast in the green. So I'm going to use, I'm going to try Granny Apple Green with this and have a look and see. Clean this one off. It may be that I swap this for Fresh Freesia. Let's have a look. Okay, so these are the leaves that I'm going to add in. And ideally you want ones that don't have too much stalk. And if you do, you want to just brush off the stalk or just ink it up without too much ink on the stalk. Okay, I'm going to add a single leaf on that one. Okay, so I'm going to bear in mind that this is going to be cut, so I do need space for my sentiments, and when I cut it, it may be that I end up with it in one direction or another. Let's grab the smaller flower. like so. And you want to make sure that you're turning the flowers each time. Okay, I might get away with it. Okay, and let's put one on here. And then I'm going to use the small leaf, single leaf, to go with that one. Oops. Got an avalanche here. So I took Cassie out for a brief walk late this afternoon when it was a little bit cooler. She was very pleased to hop into the paddling pool when we got home. And she literally just dunks herself in it. And I have to say, I did have a paddle. There we go. Okay, let's put one of these in here. And then let's just have a few coming in the side. Now it could be that some of these side pieces will actually get cut off, so I'm not too worried about that. Like so. Okay. Right, so I haven't used these 3 little flowers, so I might add those, and I haven't used the little dots. Let's just clean these off. So do let me know what you've been up to today. I hope you've been up to something nice, or spending time, much needed time with family. Obviously a lot of people will have been working. Okay, right, let's see. So I've got this gorgeous grape, which I'm wondering how light this is going to be. Yes, so this would have been better for my background, but never mind. Pop those in. So making sure that you go off the edge. It doesn't look very natural if it just stops before the edge. Like so. And on there. Oh, bless you, Joanne. So it was your day off, but hay fever was not your friend. Bless you, that's really no fun, is it? Okay, so I'm going to use Orchid Oasis. No, I'm going to use the green for my little dots. And I might just stamp it off so they're just a little bit lighter. I'm so lucky that I don't, well, touch wood, I've got a wooden desk, touch wood, I don't suffer and haven't done with hay fever, but everybody tells me it's been really bad over the last few days. You know, those that suffer with streaming eyes and things like that. So I really feel for you. Okay, there we go. I'm going to stick it with that. Hi, Stacey. How fab of you to join us. Stacey's a very talented demonstrator, and she has a lovely team, and I'm desperately trying to find my trimmer, which I've buried. So we're visiting a few old techniques, Stacey. So we're doing a half sheet wonder using one of my favourite stamp sets, artistically inked. So glad that this has stayed in this time round. So I'm going to cut this at, I think I'm going to cut this at 10. The halfway point is actually 10.5 centimetres, but I know I've got less on this side, so that's going to be there, and I've got space for a small sentiment. And then let's cut this. So my finished size for this is actually going to be 9.5 centimetres, because I'm going to have a layer behind it which is 10 centimetres, and then my width is going to be 13.85, so that I can layer this up. So there's one, and in fact it's not as bad as I thought. I would have liked this lighter, but I think I got away with it. Right, so now I'm going to decide which bit I'm cutting off, and I think because I've got some gaps here, I'm going to cut that little bit off. And funny enough, this looks nicer on the screen. I swear it looks nicer on the screen than it does in real life. Okay. And then let's just check. So this would be 13.85. Just going to take a little bit here from the left, just to balance this out. So this is our design for Coffee and Card tomorrow, and also on Monday in Toaster. So Friday's in Brackley and Monday is in Toaster. So I'm just going to add 2 sentiments to this, and I have got this lovely set called Charming Sentiments, and this was created by Lisa Curcio on one of her £1 million achievements. I want to say that's a 2 million, but I might be wrong. And what's really fab about this is that there are dies that cut out all of these sentiments as if you fussy cut it. Now Stacey, who's watching, is a master of fussy cutting, and especially words. However, for me, I can't do it. So these ones will actually cut out these, and they're really tightly positioned so that it looks like you've fussy cut it. And so these do all of those, and then there's a few left over. But you also get these little holes, some flowers and stalks, and some candles, stars and hearts as the die cuts. So it's a really useful little set, and Lisa has provided, if you go to her website, a little guide to show you which ones of these sentiment dies match the sentiment. So if you look for the sentiment here, then it shows you which die you need for it. But I'm just going to stamp straight onto here. So I'm thinking Wishing You Everything Wonderful is one of my favourite ones, might fit in there, and I like the Because You Totally Deserve It. Let's see if that will fit. So this is a photopolymer stamp set. Yeah, that will work perfectly. Let me grab a slightly larger block to pop that on, and I think I'll put it on this one. Just wondering if that is just slightly too big for that space. So I'm going to put it on here. So I'm going to select the Island Indigo ink pad that I've just inked up here. I can't believe we're at Thursday already. Wishing you everything wonderful, and I think this is a great sentiment for many occasions. It could be engagement, it could be birthday, it could be graduation, finishing school, retirement. There we go. Wishing you everything wonderful. And inside I'm going to put, because you totally deserve it. Okay, so that one is going to get layered up probably onto Island Indigo, so it makes that blue sentiment really pop. So that's that one there. And then for my other sentiment, I might just add, if it will fit, this happy birthday. Actually, this thanks will fit as well. Complete with the dimensional on it. I'm going to go for that. Okay, just pop that off. There we go. Just going to ink this up. Just going to see how straight I've got it to my block. So I'm using the edge of my paper as my guideline. Yep, that looks alright. And I'm inking it up where I added the ink refill. Like so. And again, I'm just using the edge of the block, in this case the right hand edge, because I know that this is a square block, and if it's straight at the bottom it'll be straight on the side. There we go. Okay, let me clean those off before I do anything else. Okay, so turn that over and let's just layer these up. Now these are going to go onto white cards, and they will have insides decorated with the same stamps and also the envelope, just to finish those off. So just getting that centered. Okay, turning it over, giving it a good amount of pressure. And I've turned it over on the clean sheet so that I don't transfer any undue ink. And then I'll just pop it onto here. I won't do the inside or the envelope, so I want to show you the second technique. Okay. Let's just pop that on there. So use your bone folder, and if you have time, do try and do both sides. Make sure that your card sits nice and flat, and then you know that it will stand better, less likely to open up and spread out. Okay, so a scribble of glue, not too much, and you don't need to go right to the edges, because what I do is I pop it on and then slide it slightly. There we go. So there's one of our finished cards. Now I am going to add probably a little bit of bling to that as well. But I'm pleased with the way that came out. Hi Patricia, and hi Dee. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so there's the other one from our half sheet wonder. So I want to show you two things now. One is a bit of stamp surgery, and that is this butterfly brilliant stamp set. So these are some of the dies that go with it. They're absolutely stunning. They cut out separate butterflies as well as the butterflies from the stamp set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Now I've already got the label on the back. I'm just going to take this and a pair of scissors and just literally cut across here. Now I don't want to get too close to any of the images, but what I do like to do, as I explained before, is leave the edges sharp so that I can actually reposition this. I can't remember how it went now. Oh, that's it. So I can reposition this back on the stamp to use in the Stamparatus. But it also means that you can use the butterflies separately. Okay. That was very close there. I've just nipped the very end of his antenna. What I should have done was cut it from the back. So lesson learned. Don't worry about the label. Or if you're going to do this, would I do it before the label? No, probably not, because it's a lot fiddlier doing X amount of labels. So just going to cut those up. I'm going to leave, no I'm not, I'm going to cut them all up. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it. Now if you're of a nervous disposition, that might freak you out altogether. But it does mean now that I've got a whole set of butterflies that I can use. I've got to find out how to put them back in. Okay, so I'm going to do a half sheet wonder with the butterflies, and I'm also going to do the baby wipe technique, which has been around for a long time. Just going to use those three, I think. So let's grab a piece of card and a baby wipe. So this is actually what is it? It's an antibacterial wipe rather than a baby wipe, because I don't seem to have baby wipes anymore, just antibacterial ones, but it will work exactly, well, at least I hope it'll work exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is I folded this over. I might not need that much. And I'm going to use the re-inkers here to ink up and make my own colour pad. And what you can do with that is mix your colours. So what I'm going to do as a contrast, I've got Tahitian Tide. So I'm going to add some drops in here. And you only really need to do it the sort of size of your stamp. Okay, you don't need to cover the whole thing. And then I'm going to have a little bit of Parakeet Party. To drop that in. And then a little bit of Starry Sky, the darker blue. Now you could do this in bands of colour, so I'm going to do that for one of the butterflies. So I'm going to use this for, let's say, this butterfly here, and we'll have a little go. Now the thing with this is you will get different results every single time. So if you're a purist and you want the same results every time, you might not like this technique. Now I have got a little bit of, I hope this is water and not alcohol. So I'm just adding a little bit of water so that that ink moves around. and I'm going to place my stamp onto there and then stamp it onto here. Okay, so I probably need a bit more water. Now this is quite a hollow stamp. Let me just show it on a more solid stamp. So you get this effect of the multicolours. I don't know if you can see that really. I'll bring it up to the light, to the camera rather. If you can see that a little bit better. So I'm going to add a little bit more colour with the ink. Perhaps I didn't need to fold it over. Anyway, let's give it a go. And literally just using a few blobs each time. And a bit more of the green. Now this pad will obviously dry out over time, but what you can do is pop it in a plastic bag or in one of these containers to sort of keep it sealed, and then you can re-add water, that's better, at a later date. Okay, I'm happy with that. Remember, this is scratch paper, so it will be slightly broken up in comparison. So that's going to be my first butterfly. Let's bring this over here. So I am going to use this stamp again because it gives just a nice base. I hoped I cleaned it. And let's use Tahitian Tide. Find it. Yes, I had it out already. Now I can't find it at all. Okay. We'll use Orchid Oasis. Oh, I've got a lot of flickering going on my screen. Oh, that's really weird. Oh, okay, it stopped. Okay, let's give this a go. So, I'm going to stamp this off a couple of times, and then I'm going to do the same treatment. Just want it quite light. Like so. Okay. And then I'm going to use my little ink pad. I'm just going to check on Facebook that we've come back as we should have done. Sorry about this. Make sure we are still live, just in case that little glitch. No, we look good. Okay, right. It's looking nicely inked up. So, going to add these. Like so. And I'm going to leave space for a bigger one here. So I'm going to have this one coming off the edge. So I'll show you that there. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, do let me know if you're still here, because I've got one screen saying nothing's happening and one screen saying there are some people there. Okay, now I want to introduce a bigger butterfly. Let's just cover this ink pad up. And I'm actually going to have a band of 2 colours. Now I can do this 2 ways. I can actually ink up part of this stamp. Oh, thank you, Joanne. Thank you so much. I could ink up part of this stamp on one ink pad and the bottom on another ink pad. So that would be another technique to do that. I want to use, I think, Orchid, Oasis and Starry Sky. So I'm going to do that on my ink pad here. Now I've got it nice and wet. So I'm just going to do it on this bottom piece. So I've got Starry Sky, or I could do Sweet Sorbet, but so I'm going to have Starry Sky in a block here, like so. Should have put it at the bottom, that's what I intended. And let's have as a more of a contrast Tahitian Tide. So this is an old technique. As I say, you can do this by inking it up on the ink pad itself, just being careful, or you could mask off the bottom and mask off the top. Let's just see what that looks like. So, ooh, looks nice and wet. Yeah, so you've got the 2-tone here. So let's do that. And so bear in mind, I'm going to have this one probably this way here. So I've gone for the same colours. I could obviously just switch out the colours altogether. But there it is there. And I could reverse that for the other one. So just turn this one round on my ink pad. Like so. There we go. It's a bit top end, isn't it? But I'm going to cut this off. So if I'm looking at this piece here, I can do some more detail up there. So let's just add maybe some flowers into that mix. If that's too big, I think it will be right on this one. It's glitching again on my screen. How bizarre. Let me just... Okay. Right, let's speed things up a little bit in case it all goes pear-shaped. Let's have Orchid Oasis for our flowers. Yes, now I have made sure that my camera and everything is plugged in, so I wonder if it might have been that. Fingers crossed, Joanne, fingers crossed. So just going to pop this in here and here, like that. And then some leaves. I'm going to pick up the same green. I used Granny Apple before, but I'm going to use Parakeet Party. So this is a real in colour version. Okay, move that over a little bit. So I've got a leaf coming in there. Haven't left myself much room for leaves on this one. So let's have some leaves there. And there. And I really want a leaf attached to this one here, so I'm going to pop it I just mask that off. Yes, I've moved my masking paper, so I'm just going to stamp on this and mask that off a little bit. That's that. And it's this bottom end. I want to put a couple of leaves on here, so I'm just going to cut around the bottom part of this. I don't need to cut everything. So I'm only masking that bottom end. So okay, now I can add my 2 leaves. 1 leaf, because this is a bit smaller, this one, like that, and that. There we go, it's a little bit better. And I might do the same here. It's not exactly the same piece of leaf, but I think it will be all right. And obviously you could add branches and much more detail to this as well. Oh, it's frozen on my screen. Oh, that's really good. Okay, I'm going to finish up fairly swiftly because it may have just stopped altogether, but it may still be recording, just not showing on the screen. So either way, apologies. I think it must be the weather. Okay, let's just move these out of the way. Because it does think I'm still live, so there's always hope. Okay, so just going to cut this at 9.5 through there. I'm looking at the screen and nothing's happening. This one at 9.5, and also I'm going to need to add a little bit more detail to this. Which bit am I going to cut off? This bit here, I think. There we go. So this one I'm happy with. This one I need to add a little bit more detail. So I wonder if I might add another flower here. Oh, bless you. That's really no good, is it? And I don't really know what to suggest. I wonder if it'll let me restart just the video element. I don't know. I'm just going to finish this and show you the finished thing. Maybe, just maybe, it will have recorded it. and if not, you saw the majority of it in use. So I do apologise. I'll change colour. Never mind. There we go. Let's add some dots. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to finish up. I will add the sentiments and finish these and add a photograph pretty soon after. Oh, have we got a picture back, or was it just the colour combination you were talking about earlier, Joanne? There we go. Okay, so I appreciate you may not be able to see what we've created. Hopefully you'll have seen the first one. And I will wrap up now, as obviously things aren't playing the game. I'll add the sentiments and post the photos of the finished cards for you so that you can see them. So thank you so much. Apologies if you're watching and this got interrupted. I will clip it when it goes to Facebook and YouTube replay, so that you're not just watching a blank screen. Thank you so much for your patience, depending on how long you stuck it out with me today. And I look forward to crafting with you again. Thank you, Joanne. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.